the whole point is that cognitive skills explain learning struggles while learning styles don't. So if you have a student who has difficulty remembering and sorry for the typo. If you have a student who has difficulty remembering and carrying out a set of instructions, is that how is that going to help you if you know that he's a visual learner or a kinesthetic learner or an auditory learner? Um, it's not a style issue. The reason that they're struggling is probably because of cognitive skills, things like working memory. So by the time they carry out one or two of the instructions, that information has just disappeared. It's dissipated. And they don't no longer have that in mind, which is when they look at you and say, what did you tell me? What was that again?
Right.
Or a student who can read but lacks comprehension. That a style issue? We're not going to help them by teaching to a particular learning style, but we can work on this by addressing underlying cognitive skills, verbal reasoning, which is how we reason with language-based information. It's being able to use that skill to draw an inference, use that skill to interpret figurative language. Processing speed can often do that because, especially working memory and processing speed together, because if the child has slower processing speed, it's just that much harder for them to hold that information in their mind because it just won't last. It doesn't, the memory traces and the activation in the brain just don't last that long. It gives up before it gets to the part where they've understood and processed it. If you've got students who get stuck when they're trying to solve a math problem, can we blame it on a learning style? Pretty hard to figure out how to address that. But what's probably going on is that they have weaker cognitive flexibility. They can't shift gears and adapt when things change or when they get to a point where they've tried something and they get stuck in that idea. You've probably seen this with kids who have a weaker cognitive flexibility where they just will try the same thing over and over and over again, and it's not working.
Right.
Working memory can be another reason because if working memory is how you keep track of the steps of solving the math problem. If you skip a step, you may get stuck because you've missed some piece of information and you still got two variables in your equation or whatever, and you can't solve it. Sequential processing can be another reason. It's just you took things out of order. So any of these can kind of result in things that look similar and that look like getting stuck, which is why it's so important to understand what's going on underneath. Because if you know that a child is weaker in working memory, then you're going to, when you see these symptoms, these surface level challenges that they're having, then we have an idea how to attack them and how to build up those underlying skills in order that they don't impede the process of comprehension or carrying out instructions or solving math problems.